Event 8 is presented by Mod Tub, and it's tightrope.
Yeah, and it was a tightrope walk, man, to say the least. I couldn't think of it immediately, but it was the bring your cutlery.
Yeah.
Bring your cutlery quote last night. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we got to put that on something. Tightrope, 3 rounds, 100 heavy double unders, 50-foot single-arm sear bell lunge. Hasn't really given people much trouble, but it's a challenge, and then 100-foot handstand walk.
Let's check out the overall standings on the men's side of things. And Brent Fikowski, courtesy of his event win, has put himself in second place. Ricky Garrard drops out of second, drops 1 spot to third. He's 20 points back of Fikowski. Jason Hopper is well within striking distance of one of those top 3 spots, as is Dallin Pepper, as is Jay Crouch. And Guy Medeiros probably needs to get some help, but he's still in the mix as well. Well, Sam Cornoyer is going to be in this opening heat. Cornoyer comes in 14th place overall and really had just a couple of close calls in that prior event that cost him maybe a top 5 finish.
He really did, and that's what I like about Sam, is he was going for it. Now, of course, he whiffed a little bit in regards to how he was able to finish, but it was there, the opportunity was there, and he presented it for himself. I like him upside down. He's typically known to be able to almost run on his hands, so we'll see how this plays out for him if he's able to seize the opportunity with the double unders and the overhead walking lunge to give himself a chance to walk fast on his hands.
Well, here are your lane assignments. 9 men in this opening heat. Heino Kapalainen withdrawing from competition due to an injury. And Saxon Panchik, another guy we're watching here, he's coming off his best finish of the competition, took 7th in gondola.
Like we've seen from many heats already on the women's side, composure's key here to start. Keep those shoulders as relaxed as possible, because you're going to need them in the next 2 movements.
100 reps here on the heavy rope to open things up. On the scoreboard on the left side of your screen, they'll get credit for 1 rep every 25 reps that they complete on that heavy rope. So most men here in the back half. There's Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson. Currently sits in 15th place overall.
One of the biggest differences, Sean, as you asked earlier about the heavy double unders, is that it gets a bit more challenging to keep your hands down at your sides. You want to let them rise up. The weight of that double under handle gets harder to spin.
Gudmundsson is one of the first men done. Now, Saxon Panchik is done. Jonakoski, Sam Quant, Noah Olson, and Jorges Kervis at the top of your screen. You got James Sprague in the middle in the black shorts, and then at the bottom, Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson and Saxon Panchik. 1 rep for every 25 feet these men complete. They have to switch hands at the halfway point, turn around, and head back.
We're looking for athletes to keep their arm as long as possible, which means you don't want to have any bend in that elbow. You've got to reach it up and back in order to be able to lunge freely without worrying about dropping that thing.
Quant's done. He'll be the first man to his opening 100-foot handstand walk. Jonakoski's right behind him in those pink shoes. And James Sprague as well on his hands. Noah Olson, we know this guy can walk on his hands.
No one yet choosing to go unbroken like we saw from Laura on that first round, which is pretty key.
Saxon Panchik, the first man to make the turn back. He's ahead of Koski and Quant, but now Panchik is kicked down. Koski and Quant continuing to work. That's Jonakoski opening up a lead here on his 30th birthday.
That's a good day so far for Jona.
Jonakoski's done. He'll start round 2. 100 more double unders on the heavy rope. At the 15 rep mark is when he'll be finished. Here comes Sprague and Quant. And Saxon Panchik has already started his second set of 100.
All these gentlemen making a lot of easy work of a movement that's not so simple. Double unders are one of those things that can take people what feels like ages to master, and they're doing it with a weighted implement, not just a simple jump rope.
There is James Sprague, your CrossFit Games champion. He's currently 13th place overall.
James, one of the tallest athletes in the field, making easy work of that handstand walk on the last round. Very impressive.
Ioannikowski's inside his final 25 reps. Saxon Panchik has 25 to go as well. Ioannikowski's done. And another 50-foot overhead walking lunge.
Yeah, and he's shaking out those arms, trying to make sure that they're still working right.
Well, James Sprague's moved himself into second with Panchik and Quant right behind him in third.
Saxon foregoing that gather step. He's just lunging right one foot and after the next. That really reduces his time under tension and allows him to cover some ground faster. You'll notice he made up significant ground there. We'll see if he does the same thing on the return.
James Sprague is now taking the lead here in round 2. He'll be the first man to the handstand walk for the second time. Sprague kicking up and working his way down the field. Ioannikowski sits in second place now behind Sprague.
Again, we talked about James, one of the taller guys in the field, making easy work of this handstand walk. It's really impressive there. He's got some long levers to stabilize there from his fingertips to his toes. Let's see how this turn goes. Smooth for James.
Yeah, they get 1 rep for every 20-foot section they complete on the handstand walk. At the 22 rep mark, Sprague will be done, and then it's into round 3.
And James did a great job there, coming down after the turn, but then kicking right back up. You'll notice it's very much a pause, don't stop for him, understanding that, hey, I need a breather, let me kick up, see where the rest of the field is, and then I'm gonna get right back to work.
Sprague heads to the rope for the third and final time, 100 more double unders to complete. There's Saxon Panchik. Moved into second place ahead of Ioannikowski, who's now in third, but not by much. Koski on the right side of your screen. Panchik's on the left. Sprague, your leader in this heat, in the middle. Sprague's best finish came in the opening event when he took 4th in quicksand.
Composure's key here on the final stretch with these double unders. Everybody starts to feel other athletes' presence to their left and to their right. They know they're being joined. James knows he's got a buffer, but can he continue the same way he has on these double unders?
Sprague is halfway through. There's Sam Quant, 17th place overall.
Here we go.
James Sprague gets through those 100 back to the dumbbell. This will be his final set of walking lunges. 100 pounds, 45 kilos over his head. Sprague really starting to separate himself here. Nobody else is done with the double unders yet for the third and final time.
And that's what you hope for if you're the leader of a heat like this in this particular event. It's really hard to close the gap because it's so very obvious where everyone else is. The reps don't get done real quick after the double unders. So this is a comforting feeling for James, but he's got to race the clock, not the rest of his heat.
Panchik, meanwhile, lifting up that dumbbell over his head as he and Ioannikowski are pretty even here for second place. Panchik's got about a 5-foot lead on Koski on this lunge. Sprague's on his final handstand walk. 17-minute time cap, so every man in this heat should have an opportunity to finish all the work. Sprague able to get himself through that turn.
That was a huge save there by James. He would have had to come back to that white line and try it all again had he come down or not been able to turn successfully.
Now final 20 feet for Sprague. He's going to take a quick break and get right back to work. So James Sprague. Smooth sailing for him, and he's going to take heat number 1.
And he said, feed me. I think he brought his cutlery, Sean.
8:31.70 seconds for James Sprague. Saxon Panchik and Jonakowski are battling for second. Panchik has made the turn on his final handstand walk. Koski still on his way back towards Zeus. Panchik's done, and Saxon Panchik is in. Jonakowski completes that pirouette.
Great patience there by Yona. Again, looked like fatigue's really starting to set in on these guys as they're pushing their threshold with their upside down tolerance. Arms are blown up, arms are tired, breathing hard. They're sticking to their guns though and having great form so they can keep that pirouette going.
Jonakowski trying to work his way inside the top 10 for the final event. He's 20 points back at Chandler Smith right now, who currently sits in 10th place. Koski is finished. (9:41.83 seconds). Sam Quant, your leader on the floor. That'll do it for Sam Quant. Now Sam Corwaye coming in. Bjorn Gudmundsson in the black shorts now back on his haunches. He and Noah Olsen should be your next two men to finish as Olsen is closing out his final handstand walk. See what he has in store for everybody at the finish line when he makes it. Olsen's done.
He said, nah, not after that one right there, folks. Great job there by Noah.
10:42.55 seconds for Olsen. And now Gudmundsson is just about done. Georgios Karavis and Jorge Fernandez are the last two men out. They have more than, well, they have 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go.
Yeah, it seemed like 12 minutes was going to be a pretty good goal for everyone in this heat, and it looks like we'll get that about close to that for these last two.
First of two heats. Tightrope.
Karavis is across. Jorge Fernandez just has one final section remaining. And with that, heat one is done. James Sprague sets the time to beat at 8:31.70 seconds. And it was not close.
Yeah, it was not close, man. It was a little back and forth early, but man, James really hit the gas finishing that second round.
Appreciate it.
Got two finishes this competition, a fifth or better. Would like to put up another one here in event number 8.
Everybody loves being here at the Rogue Invitational. They're suffering, having a good time, putting on a show for the crowd. It was Koski back and forth with James very early. It looked like it was going to be a neck-and-neck race, but the ironic thing here is, Sean, James continued to build speed and overcome even the limitation of a little bit of a faulty turn there and accelerate away from the rest of the field, putting himself well in front and saying, feed me more, I'm here to eat.
James Sprague, the top time at 8:31.70 seconds. Saxon Panchik comes in behind him, and the birthday boy, Jonakowski, finishes third, 9:41.83 seconds. Top 4 men all going sub-10 on that event. Heat 2 is coming up next. Overall leaders will be on the floor, and Jeff Adler, who has led for pretty much the majority of this competition, has been the picture of consistency.
He has top 10 in every outing when he takes the floor. His lowest position is 9th, and that was in event 6. You really love to see it from Jeff. You know, one of the biggest question marks is he one of the fittest men in this field, but is he the fittest here at the Rogue Invitational? Because that's what he's here to prove. He's never been on top of the podium. Now, he's been on it, but he's here to try to take that #1 spot this year.
The 10 men will be on the floor for the second and final heat of event number 8. Jeff Adler will be right in the middle as the overall leader. And Brent Fikowski is going to be right next to him, as Fikowski has worked his way up the standings and now sits in second place overall. Fikowski will be down there in lane 4. Ricky Garrard, who currently sits in 3rd, will be in 5th. Now, Dallin Pepper will be down in lane 7. He has 485 points. He's 10 back of Hopper for 4th, and is going to have to come up with a big performance here to put himself inside the top 3.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of pressure come into play here for this men's heat coming out. I mean, they're all starting to feel it. Positions are changing, but the opportunity for points is consistently slipping away. So they've got to have some forethought. I know they know what to expect now, at least in event 9. So some of them are like, okay, maybe I can reconcile some points there. And then others are like, man, I'm going to struggle with that. I need to go get me my 100 points now. So the urgency continues to build.
Well, Dallin Pepper had 3 or make it 4 straight finishes of 8th or better, but his last 2 events have been 10th or below. And here's what we're looking right now in the battle for the podium. Ricky Garrard has that 3rd and final spot. So Jake Crouch in 6th is 50 points back. He's got to make that up in 2 events. And event number 9 was announced earlier today, so the athletes know what's in store for them after this.
Yeah, and I can tell you specifically, Sean, Dallin and Jason are both probably pretty excited about those sandbags looming in event 9, but both really need to have some very high performance here in order to continue to chip away at what Ricky's established there in the spot number 3.
We talked about Jeff Adler's consistency. He has yet to finish lower than 9th, and that's his worst finish, his 9th place overall. Everything else has been 5th or better. And he started with a 2nd place finish after Ricky Garrard edged him out by 0.2 of a second. But after that, he put on a great performance. 5th in event 2. He wins event 3. He took 3rd in event 4, 2nd in event 5. Then he had a 9th place in the dual 4 and got back on track earlier today with a 5th place finish. And meanwhile, Brent Fikowski, other than an 18th place finish, his results have looked a lot like Adler's, and he's coming off that event win in Gondola earlier today where he more or less called his shot.
He certainly called his shot, and he said, watch out for me, I got something different. But all weekend long, he's been putting on a show. He's really doing what the professor does consistently throughout his career. He's showing up in the moments that he expects to. He's managing deficits in his fitness when he has to. That's how you accumulate a great resume, and he's done that throughout his entire career.
And he's enjoying himself while doing it, and how can you not when you just blew away the field like he did in event number 7. And yes, we will miss Brent Fikowski. This is his final event as an individual competitor. He's announced that he will retire after the Rogue Invitational. And Ricky Garrard, meanwhile, had that great comeback win over Adler in the opening event. He also won event number 4. But since then, he's had his 2 worst finishes of the competition. Last 2 events, he took 8th in event 6. That was last night in the duel. And then to start today off, he took a 13th place. And that's why his spot on the podium is certainly not safe right now.
Yeah. Not safe, and he's going to put it to a test here in tightrope, Sean. 3 rounds, 100 heavy rope double unders. 50-foot single-arm Searbell overhead walking lunge. This time it's 100 pounds, and then they have a 100-foot handstand walk.
James Sprague is the man with the fastest time at a heat number 1. And all the men on the floor here looking to keep themselves inside the top 10 in the overall standing. Let's talk keys to success here. What do you got?
Well, this one's all shoulders, so they've got to really do a great job at managing that. And they also have to be mindful of not stopping. One of the keys is non-stop, and what that means is they're going to be kicking down on the handstand walk frequently. You can't stop completely. You got to use it as simply a pause moment.
Second and final heat has begun, and we start with the 100 heavy rope double unders, 1 rep for every 25 they complete.
8:31.70, the time to beat from heat number 1, James Sprague.
It's always a great buy-in, Sean, with 100 double unders. How composed can you stay? It almost feels like hurry up and wait for all of us just watching. Like, okay, we see them jumping, we see them jumping. Now what? Who's going to put it down first? But it's sometimes a comforting way to start a workout for athletes when they catch a groove, because it almost settles you into the movements that will follow it.
Jeff Adler with a trip, and Guy Medeiros had a trip earlier, but other than that, everybody has gone more or less unbroken. There's a break there for Dallin Pepper. There's Brent Fikowski coming off that big event win. 60 points back to Jeff Adler for the top spot in the overall standings, 20 clear of Gerard for second.
We know transitions are key as we see Jay Crouch make the quick turn, put his rope down, but Brent Fikowski's on the hop. That means he's running to the next implement there to get the dumbbell up.
Brent Fikowski now probably going to be able to chew up more real estate with every step just because he has longer legs than Crouch. Towards the front here early on in heat 2. Fikowski's going to be the first man to make the turn. They get 1 rep for each direction.
Not putting it down by Brent, just a simple turn, change hands, keep it low on your shoulder, punch it up and get going the opposite way. Look at that body posture by Brent. That is undefeated. It's going to help him save energy for his handstand walking here.
Fikowski, the first man onto his hands. Jay Crouch sits in second. Dallin Pepper right now in third. And then there's a logjam behind him with Jeff Adler, Jason Hopper, and Justin Medeiros.
Brent choosing to kick down, not be as reckless as Miss Horvath on the last women's heat.
Fikowski making the turn. Dallin Pepper is starting to catch up to Fikowski, and both Pepper and Crouch have overtaken him, and now Jeff Adler is threatening to overtake Fikowski. Adler with a quick break, but Jay Crouch is going to lead, but not by much going into round 2. Pepper and Adler off their hands at the same time. 100 more double unders to start round 2. Jay Crouch has 470 points. He's 50 back of Gerard for third. So Crouch is going to have 2 really strong performances and hope Ricky falters in these final 2 events in order to erase that deficit.
Yeah, and we got to keep our eye on Ricky. This overhead redundancy here where we're pressing that Searbell overhead for the lunge and also handstand walking historically aren't some of the best combinations for him as a performer. So we'll have to see if he's able to continue to perform at a high level through these modalities.
James Sprague has your time to beat at 8:31.70 seconds. Out of heat number 1.
Crouch looking really smooth, Sean. No falters on this second set of double unders here. Hands just in front of his body, elbows by his side. I mean, that's how you draw it up.
And Crouch and Fikowski done at the same time.
This has been a tight race between these 2 athletes so far. Dallin Pepper in third.
We know that Brent was able to reconcile some time here on the lunges, but Jay was able to execute the handstand walk faster on the last round. but this is the one that we've seemed to recognize as the decider. This has been the decider round for all the previous heats.
Well, Crouch has been having a great second half of this competition. 4 of his last 5 finishes have been 4th or better. Fikowski back in the lead on the overhead walking lunge.
Let's see if Brent can continue to keep his speed here. He does a great job keeping his feet in front of his body. That's going to allow him to continue to cascade forward down the field with a little less effort from his arms.
Jay Crouch at the bottom of your screen and Dallin Pepper at the top are 2nd and 3rd respectively. As now Crouch has caught up with Fikowski, but Fikowski is starting once again towards the turning point. Make the turn and head back. Crouch is right next to him. This is where Jay Crouch overtook Fikowski the last time. Fikowski taking a break. Crouch stays on his hands. The Jay Crouch looks to have the lead moving into the 3rd and final round.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a race here.
This is about where we were at the end of round 2. Crouch and Fikowski, 1 and 2 into the final set of double unders.
Pressure, composure, we've talked about it a lot this weekend. You gotta have it here. You gotta be able to block out all the distractions, focus on the next rep.
Dallin Pepper currently sits in 3rd place in the heat. He's ahead of Jason Hopper, the man immediately in front of him in the overall standings. Hopper right now 4th place overall with 495 points. He's got 3 straight finishes of 6th or better, including an event win in event 5.
Medeiros onto his double unders down there in lane 10.
The 26 rep mark is what these men need to hit in order to close out that final set of 100. And Justin Medeiros is starting to move up the standings here in this heat. He's now into 4th as Fikowski has 25 to go.
Crouch taking a little lead.
There's Justin Medeiros, who comes in 9th place overall as Fikowski and Crouch again, the first 2 men done. Crouch off first, but Fikowski has caught him both times on this portion of the event.
See if Brent puts down the dumbbell. He's been transitioning overhead on his upper body. Yep, he's just gonna jump it up, get right back to work. Here we go.
See the battle for the podium in the bottom left-hand part of your screen. Ricky Garrard right now occupying that 3rd and final spot. Brent Fikowski currently sits in 2nd place, and he's trying to put more pressure on Jeff Adler. He's 60 points back to Adler. Now a no rep for Jay Crouch.
He needed to take another step past the line. You've got to extend the hips after you take that lunge clearly past the line. Wow.
Fikowski onto the handstand walk first. Crouch, though, has been faster on this portion. Fikowski takes a break as Crouch continues to move. Now Crouch is off his hands. He took a quick look over his right shoulder to see where Fikowski was. Crouch back on his hands.
Brent's making some calculated choices here, Sean. He's like, do I go for Jay and risk my 2nd position spot? Or how do I have to play this out? I don't know if he has a chance to catch Jay at this point.
Now Jay Crouch is not an immediate threat to Fikowski in the overall standings. And Jay Crouch is going to make it through. And Jay Crouch is going to just edge out James Sprague for the event win. Sprague is going to take 2nd, but did Justin Medeiros get in? Justin Medeiros did get in. Justin Medeiros is going to win the event. We absolutely did not see that. But Justin Medeiros putting on a late charge and beats Jay Crouch. Now here comes Fikowski. So Medeiros with his first event win. Fikowski is going to probably finish inside the top 5. But Justin Medeiros,
wow.
as Hopper is in. And Hopper's fired up. Here comes Pepper. And now Adler is through. So some chaos late here as we just absolutely did not see Justin Medeiros.
I mean, we talked about Ricky's still out there grinding. We talk about this not being a great combination for him. He's got to be really mindful of time, though. He's not just worried about this heat. There have been other finishers in the previous heat, so he's got to stay urgent and keep going.
Jason Hopper has a legitimate chance of moving into the top 3 depending on how this winds up. Because he's getting some help as Jason Hopper, not only from this heat, but also the times in the other heat to carve into Ricky Garrard's lead. Garrard is 25 points up on Hopper for the 3rd and final spot, so this will help. Some damage control for Ricky as he gets in. Now Medeiros is through. He's Pat Fellner and Chandler Smith out on the field. Talked to Michelle Latondra earlier today. Ran into her as I was walking into the building and mentioned that Fellner just has not been feeling well this week.
Yeah, it's tough to show up for a competition not feeling your best when it comes to like having a virus or being down with the cold, but it certainly happens.
Fellner and Smith racing out. Fellner
Going up broken on that last section, ladies and gentlemen.
And here's Pat Fellner coming across.
Patrick Fellner.
Now Chandler Smith is done. Heat 2 in the books. And it's the former 2-time Rogue Invitational champion, Justin Medeiros, who's going to win the event. As we all got caught watching the race between Crouch and Fikowski, Justin Medeiros picks up his 4th career event win at the Rogue Invitational.
Came out of nowhere.
8:25.76 seconds.
You love to see it. You know what I'm almost sure of, Sean, is that he increased his distance on the handstand walk each time of unbroken approach, right? Like breaking it up earlier so that he was slightly behind, execute everything else pretty much the same, and on that final one, taking 1 or 2 less breaks than he had on previous rounds and literally just passing the field by.
But meanwhile, Brent Fikowski continues to charge up the overall standings. He and Jay Crouch had a great fight, and Fikowski is going to narrow the deficit between himself and Jeff Adler for the top spot.
Making that charge. It is going to be up for grabs here as we prepare for some sandbags. They really battled it out, but Jay really seized the moment there. Clearly, I think he had some awareness that Medeiros was right there sprinting past that finish line, just slightly ahead of him. Medeiros literally increasing his speed every round.
That was bound to happen. Justin Medeiros fools everybody. We missed it. Timing did not. He gets 100 points, picks up his first win of the competition, the 4th of his career at the Rogue Invitational. 8:25.76 seconds. James Sprague is going to wind up in 3rd, courtesy of his win in heat number 1, and it's Brent Fikowski in 4th. Down to the floor, Kiki Dixon with Justin Medeiros.
Justin, congratulations on your event win. There was a bit of a battle going on the other side with Fikowski and Crouch, and then there was Justin Medeiros. What are you doing to just stay in your lane, even while other athletes might be breathing down your neck or they have something going on? How do you play your game?
Yeah, honestly, it was perfect. The announcers didn't say my name at all. I got to know exactly where those guys were. It was perfect.
Now, I imagine when you're prepping for an event, you have a nice plan on paper, but what was the Instagram versus reality on this event?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we had a good game plan. I kind of went exactly as I thought. And yeah, just put myself in a good position. I realized on round 3 that it was a tight battle and I was gaining ground on them. And I knew on that last handstand walk, if I wanted to make a run for it, I got to do a big set there at the end, and it paid off.
It did. Congratulations.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you all, you guys.
Justin Medeiros, first win here at the 2024 Rogue Invitational, and nobody saw it, unfortunately. even on the competition floor, they missed it. So Justin Medeiros, a sneaky event win as he looks to keep himself solidly inside the top 10. Well, one event remains here before we crown our champions. For official standings and results, you can head to roguefitness.com/invitational. Our coverage continues here at the 2024 Rogue Invitational. Stay with us, everybody. Event 9, Excavator, is coming up.